So the rumor has been going around for quite some time that the arc after Dragon Ball Super's Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc, the Moro arc, is supposed to be a very fan servicey arc. And I've got Reel to Reel Productions back here on Geekdom 101, and we're going to have a discussion about what his idea for the ultimate fan service arc is. Now, I want to make it clear to everybody, too, that this video is not a spoiler or anything like that. It's just going to be a theory that he has on where the story of Dragon Ball Super could go, what direction it could go in. And he hasn't told me the entire premise yet, but I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on what his idea is. Of course, he's the king of wacky theories. The Time Wizard arc. So, hello, Reel to Reel. How are you?
What's up, Geekdom? Thank you for once again having me on your channel. It's fun to be here, just always sharing wacky, crazy theories of what could potentially happen in the future of Dragon Ball Super.
It's been a while since you've been on, and I think we've had some great times, just discussing ideas that, in many ways, your ideas are really, really good, but I don't know if even Japan is as creative as you are. But this idea that you've come up with, now again, I've only heard bits and pieces of it. You haven't told us the entire idea, but for the arc after Moro is really reminiscent of what could be going on in Dragon Ball Heroes, the video game, the Japanese one, not so much the anime, as far as the manipulation of time and Xenoverse. But your idea is a little bit different. So tell us about the Time Wizard arc after Dragon Ball Super, after Moro in Dragon Ball Super.
Sure. Okay, so one of the things that I'm just going to preface this by saying is I liked the Future Trunks arc of Dragon Ball Super, but I didn't feel like it melded into all the other arcs of Dragon Ball Super, It didn't feel like it had a legitimate place in that story. So this would be a continuation of that arc, dealing with some of the things that were left really untied from that story, and really expanding the world of Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball in general, and maybe even fixing and bringing in some of the biggest things from Dragon Ball, or at least the extended universe of Dragon Ball, into the story and dealing with them once and for all before they put them to bed, and then just continue on in the future. That's why it's a perfect next arc, why it's a perfect fan service arc, and why it's perfect for the future of Dragon Ball Super. So I'm just going to do what MJ would do here. I'm going to paint you guys a picture of the first chapter of this manga, or the first couple episodes of this arc, like literally the first episode, super hype, and then the next, and then we're going to talk about it. So, okay.
Go for it, man.
The way I see it, man, is beginning of the next arc, beginning of the next chapter of this next arc is nothing but slice of life. You have panels, maybe an entire page, multiple pages of just our basic, fun-loving Dragon Ball characters.
Now, this is under the assumption it'll be in the manga.
Yes.
Just making sure everybody knows. But it could also be in the anime, too. We're talking about just after the Mortal story.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Just want to clarify that.
Yeah. You have Gohan, Videl, Pan, Krillin, 18, Marin, Piccolo, Chi-Chi, Goten, Trunks, Pilaf Gang, all of these people, right? The only two people we don't see as we're going through slice of life moments, really fun, creative moments for everybody, is Goku and Vegeta, right? Those guys are nowhere to be seen throughout this entire arc at that point. But halfway through this chapter, you start seeing an antagonistic force or somebody show up in the middle of things, but you don't get to see him straight up. You don't get to see who he is.
Like in the shadows?
Well, even, like, I would say even more than that. Like, you would have his feet, then you get to see his legs, and then his torso, his arms, and all this other stuff until you finally get to his head. But you realize with every single panel that you see him, he's walking forward. He's moving towards something, right? And eventually, after all of this is said and done, we're dealing with the slice of life. We're dealing with the slow exploration or reveal of this new antagonistic force. You have Vegeta training somewhere in the vast wilderness of Earth, meditating, training. And then this guy and Vegeta come face to face. And maybe a couple words said here and there, maybe a little bit more reminiscent of the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, which I think it would be kind of perfect for the reintroduction of Super, both in the manga and in the anime, where it's Piccolo versus Raditz. Reminiscent about that at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And Vegeta goes after him, right? Base form, nothing, can't touch this guy whatsoever. So what? Vegeta smiles, turns Super Saiyan, goes after him. Really Goku versus Jiren, first time in the Tournament of Power type of thing. Nothing. Super Saiyan 2, the guy starts blocking, he's starting to feel the burn as it was. And Vegeta, realizing that he has the upper hand, smiles. Everyone expects Vegeta's going to go Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue. He's going to take this guy out. It's going to be one and done, right? He's just playing with him. No. Super Saiyan 3. Vegeta goes Super Saiyan 3. He goes after this guy. He turns on Vegeta, ends up beating Vegeta into the ground, killing him. And then he smiles to himself, and it's cut to black.
Why would Vegeta do Super Saiyan 3 if he has God power, though? God and blue.
Okay, so that's explained in the very part of the next chapter or the next episode or whatever it might be for the story.
So you're wanting to kick it off like with a shocker, and then you're going to explain what the shocker is, right? Gotcha. Okay, I understand.
So what this guy does is he goes into time and he manipulates one thing, and he lets the time play out until the strongest individual from that time period is going to reach his or her peak. And then he goes and challenges them to learn from them, to fight them and learn from them in the logic that Dragon Ball Super has, both with Hit and Goku Black and almost everybody else from the Dragon Ball Super days. And as soon as he realizes that he has enough, he's seen the potential of their power, he takes them out, he learns that, and he goes to the next time period, and he manipulates that time period. So the next arc would start, or the next chapter of this would start with this guy showing how he created Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta by going back to the moment where Goku reveals Super Saiyan 3. He manipulates it to Goku killing Majin Buu as he said he did in the manga and the anime, or
which he can't do because I've already done a video debunking that. But
we're messing with it.
Yeah, he's manipulating time. Yeah, so he basically hops through time and creates new timelines purposely to battle warriors that wouldn't really exist in those timelines.
Exactly, and so that's
he basically creates a bunch of Cartoon videos, then a bunch of what ifs. That's what you're telling me right now, bro.
Exactly.
Masako X is gonna love this one.
So that to me, like, if the idea is it's going to be incredibly fan servicey and it's something that can take in the story from Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball, all this other stuff, and meld it together, this is something that can introduce Dragon Ball GT characters finally into the main canon without it actually hurting the timeline. This is a way for the ending of Dragon Ball Z to finally make sense, despite the 10-year time gap in Dragon Ball Super, where this guy can just kind of erase it, and now Dragon Ball Super is on its own timeline. It doesn't have to adhere to the ending of Dragon Ball Z, and it can just do its own thing once and for all.
This is a major retcon, though. Like, you're retconning a lot of different things. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Your idea is basically this is a villain that's going to go through time and create new timelines by manipulating events of the older of old Dragon Ball arcs. That's been done, though, in Dragon Ball Heroes. That's what the Time Breakers do.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I've always said on my channel is these villains, this concept is so interesting and unique. You know, we're in a time, a really weird time with Dragon Ball where we want to see new and interesting arcs, but we want to see the old and the familiar. And the further you get away, the more you create what Dragon Ball Super is, new and original characters, the more you get away from the nostalgic, the old and the familiar. This is something where you can kind of have it both ways, have your cake and eat it too. Revisit those classic moments. You can have your fun with them. You can create new scenarios with them, and you can build the characters, the story, the power, and all of it surrounding those moments to eventually get to Goku and Vegeta as they are in Dragon Ball Super and have one of the most epic battles ever. I mean, the Battle of Time, this guy is multiple timelines deep, right? Like he's faced every major strong warrior, and you don't even have to show him doing it. If they wanted to make a very quick story about this, it's just going to be fancy.
Well, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see it,
but
yeah.
Like, in the anime or the manga or something, he can just go and find Goku and Vegeta as they are in Dragon Ball Super, and he can talk and flashback. And in the manga, you can show panel after panel of him going to all of these different timelines, how he changed it, what came of it, and what were the transformations, who did he fight, all of this other stuff. But you don't have to explore it. So it's like, it leaves you wanting more while getting you excited of like what happened, you know?
I mean, we could even have him take Cell, because everybody wants Cell to like come back. They could even have a story where he takes Cell out of one of the timelines and trains him into actually doing Golden Cell. I mean, again, you don't get more fan service than that. Or have Cell learn God Ki. I mean, what if Cell learned God Ki? We're talking about a very dangerous opponent that might be too much for our heroes, unless, of course, they're able to master Ultra Instinct at will. which of course that's just the best thing they could possibly do. So this guy's messing around with the Dragon Ball timeline, but what about other universes? How does Jiren and Hit and the other characters, Ani Raza, how do they fit into this angle? Because I feel like this storyline could go on for years, or really.
It really could. I think it could be one of the biggest storylines. It could be Dragon Ball Super's
Endgame. It's Dragon Ball Super Endgame, dude. That's what it is. We're going through time messing with stuff.
It's Dragon Ball Super's answer to the Majin Buu arc, where it's just something that can go on for way too long or longer than it needs to. But the way I see it interacting with the gods and other universes and stuff is, as I said before in the very beginning, it answers that question from the Future Trunks arc. Why is going back in time taboo? Like, what is it going to do, and how are other gods and universes going to deal with
Here's
this?
how. It can cause a lot of problems, right?
It can cause a lot of problems, but how do you fix this? Can Zeno instantly fix this? Because we have those two Zenos from Dragon Ball Super that don't seem to be able to fix anything in their timeline. I mean, they can control things in their timeline, but it's not like he can just recreate everything or anything else like that. Like this guy would cause legitimate serious problems and pull in all these other warriors, and then you sit there and maybe he gets a wind of like who Hit is or Jiren or all these other people, so he leaves or he does something in order to manipulate them and try to learn from them. I mean, think of it like this. You remember how the Future Trunks arc kept doing this weird thing, especially in the anime, where they kept going back and forth between timelines?
Right, yeah, kept going back and forth in there between the Future Trunks timeline and the regular timeline, yeah.
Yeah, like that got really old because they were the protagonists. Imagine if it's the antagonist doing that, right?
Right.
Like, what if he does it? Like, he gets in a bind, so he just kind of leaves and comes back, and we get to see like what he did and how he was able to master like beating somebody.
Well, where did this guy come from? This mysterious villain that has no name.
Maybe someone locked up, like the first time traveler. I mean, didn't the manga already say that the first time traveler...
The Universe 12 time traveler, yeah. They say it could be that guy?
What if it is? I mean, that would be really interesting.
What if... That's a good idea, dude. That's a good way to tie it back in. That's a great idea. So, okay, how are they going to fix this problem, though? This guy's going to create a bunch of extra timelines. Are they just going to exist on their own? Or is Zeno going to have to do something? Or maybe, what I would do is I would straight up introduce the Supreme Kai of Time into this. I know it's a online hero Xenoverse character, but I feel like if they introduce Supreme Kai of Time for this arc, like an actual official version of the Supreme Kai of Time, then they could actually use her to fix all this. That's all I can think of. To make it so that the timelines either don't exist or they are independent of each other permanently.
I'll do you one better. You introduce her, and then you fix that whole strange fan narrative with two Trunkses and two Mais in one timeline. They pull that Trunks out and make him a time patroller.
Boom. And then you've got Xenoverse and Heroes.
Then you got Xenoverse and Heroes, but you also set up the stage for if they want to do a spin-off manga for Dragon Ball and have like its own like Heroes manga with a real storyline or something.
The Adventures of Time Patrol Trunks. I would read that. Would y'all? Let me know in the comments.
I would too. I would definitely read that. Trunks is one of the favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball, so I feel like a lot of people would be jumping at that prospect.
Yeah, and you don't have to do Mira and Toa, even though they are the obvious choices. You're talking about creating like a new character that's in the same sort of vein as the Time Breakers. Like, that's the same idea, just redone by Toriyama, like how he did with Broly.
Yes.
Okay, that could work. The Time Wizard arc, courtesy of Real to Real Productions. Let us know in the comments what you think about Real to Real's Time Wizard arc. I feel like that's not something that, after you've told me the whole thing, I don't think that should be right after Moro. That's something that seems to be better suited for down the road. How are they going to actually... I mean, is Goku and Vegeta going to have to beat this dude with Gogeta again? Or, like, do you have any idea about how they could beat this guy? You know what they could do? Would that be awesome? If they took the Gokus from all the different timelines. Since, fighters and all the games have 10 billion Gokus, have all the Gokus from all the timelines from different eras team up and do a giant ultimate Genki Dama, bro. They make a giant spirit bomb that fuses with all the other spirit bombs. That's a good idea, dude. It's super fan servicey, but hey, I think people will dig it. I think fans would like that.
That is a fantastic idea. It really is a fantastic... And you know what? You can also do
I like having you on these things because we could just talk wacky and it's fun. It's fun to just have a discussion about Dragon Ball without having to stick to the script. What were you going to say?
What you could do is you can create... you can rope in all of those weird movies from Dragon Ball Z2 if you really wanted to, right? Because that was, you talking about a large Genki Dama between a lot of Gokus. Goku always won with the Genki Dama in the movies.
Well, except for Jiren. Jiren, right? Jiren just ate it. So that's not a terrible idea at all. I like the idea. It probably needs some more refining and some thinking, but let us know in the comments what you think. And thank you for being here, Real to Real Productions,
Yeah.
R2R Productions.
Yeah, man, always. It's so much fun to always come on this channel and, like you said, just talk wacky
Yeah,
Dragon Ball.
just goof off. It's always a good